Howdy folks, Gurgle here, and I suggest you buckle up for this video because it's probably going to be the longest video I've made up until now. So, I apologize in advance. I apologize right now. It's not a laddering video. If you're subscribed to the channel or you watch the channel for laddering videos, I'm terribly sorry. I will eventually get back to that, but it's just not what I'm super interested in doing right now. So, this video, I'm going to be covering my performance in a recent tournament that I played in, the ADV 1v1 Duo Swiss Tour. So, let's break down the name. Okay, so ADV 1v1 is a Gen 3 1v1 tournament. Duo, you had to have a partner in this tournament. Everyone had to be partnered with someone else. So, like, you signed up like this, the first person, second person, there's two people on each team. Okay, pretty easy to understand, I'm sure. It was a Swiss tournament. Well, the first 4 rounds were a Swiss in Swiss format, which, if you don't know how a Swiss tour works, it's like every round you're matched up with someone with the same number of points as you. So, like, round 1, everyone has 0 points. You get matched up at random. And then if you win, you get however many points. If you lose, you don't get however many points. And then the next round, you get matched up with someone else with the same number of points as you, and then so on. And then, after 4 rounds, this tournament then moved on to playoffs, which were single elimination, where the top 8 teams played. So, that's how the tournament was set up. I actually wasn't initially super interested in playing in this tournament, not because I don't like Gen 3 1v1. I love Gen 3 1v1. I'm actually on the Viability Ranking Council for this format. But I had a lot of stuff going on in real life at the time. And when the tournament started, I wasn't even aware of it. Like, when the signups came up, I didn't even know about it. And then I started, like, I wasn't playing Pokemon, like, at all when this started. And then I glanced at, like, the 1v1 Discord and saw somebody mentioning it. And I was like, oh, you know, I guess I could play it. But, like, pretty much everyone had already got a partner by then. So I was like, it doesn't really matter, you know, I don't care that much about it. But then LRXC mentioned to me that a guy with the username OmniWeeb on Smogon and Discord had been doing pretty well in room tournaments in the 1v1 room, and had been bringing some interesting stuff, and suggested that I partner up with him. So I did. Partnered up with this fellow, OmniWeeb, who is a very good player. And we both did pretty well in this tournament. I'm not going to spoil anything in case you don't know how it went. But we definitely had a good time. And I guess a big goal I had, because Omni was totally new to tournaments on Smogon, I guess a big goal I had with partnering with him was to help him have a good, fun experience in the first tournament he's ever played. And also to hopefully get him interested in Gen 3 1v1, as well as in playing more tournaments in the future. And I'm hoping that with this video, I'll be able to maybe get some people interested in both Gen 3 1v1 and playing tournaments on Smogon, because both of those things can be a lot of fun. So, I don't want to make this intro go on too long, so I'm gonna just dive into the games now. The basic outline for this video, I guess, I'm gonna talk about each of the matches I played. I'm going to talk about some of the games that OmniWeeb played, but I'm mostly going to just focus on my own games, because I don't like covering other people's games that much, because I don't want to, like, pretend like I know what was going on in someone's head, you know what I mean? Like, I barely know what was going on in my own head, because my memory sucks, but I can at least kind of psychoanalyze myself, because I know myself. But it's tougher to analyze other people's games and to be totally, like, honest, right? To be like, oh, this is what he was thinking. I don't know that. I don't know that's what he was thinking. But I'll show some of Omni's games that I think were particularly interesting or significant. And my goal with this video is just to hopefully convey some information about Gen 3 1v1 and maybe get some people interested in the format. So hopefully I can succeed with that goal. Anyway, round 1 of the Swiss portion, I was up against Jabba the Griffin, and OmniWeeb was up against Callus. So these two have been around a long time. You can see Jabba the Griffin has a 2007 join date, so that was kind of intimidating. But neither of them are really 1v1 players. Oh, and as you can see, I removed the bolding from the matchups, so you don't know who wins. Yeah, I used magic to do that. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, they've both been around a long time. And they both play 6v6. They both play OU a lot. Jabba actually... oh, I thought he won... Never mind. I thought he won one of the big tours at some point. Whatever. Anyway, it was intimidating getting matched up against him. But, you know, because he doesn't play 1v1, I knew that I'd probably be able to beat him, right? Because, frankly, 6v6 players who don't have a lot of experience in 1v1 are usually pretty easy to predict. They're usually just going to click them on with the best matchup, and it's not much more complicated than that. But I wasn't sure what kind of stuff he'd bring, right? I wasn't sure if he'd bring sample teams. I kind of expected some sample teams. I also kind of expected to see mons that are good in OU, but not necessarily in 1v1. Anyway, let's look at the games. I don't want this video to be like 2 hours long, so let's just go. Alright, so this is Jabba. He's Trainer Orange, that's his showdown name. So this is a sample team that he brought round 1. And I was very happy to see that. This team has a pretty good matchup versus the sample. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't remember what I clicked here, though. So I think... I do remember what I clicked. Okay, so I saw... Right, Marowak beats Zam, and it might beat Zapdos, but it's shaky. Registeel is beating Zapdos and kind of beating Zam, depending on the set, but losing to Marowak. And his own Marowak can lose to Marowak, depending on the speed. So he sort of was in this position where he had to click Zapdos, and because it's a sample team, I knew what Zapdos this was. It's like the pressure stall junk. So I knew Alakazam would beat it, so I went Zam. And he went Zapdos. I called that correctly. And wasn't really any way for him to win. So I set up 2 Calm Minds. I probably only needed 1 Calm Mind and then Psychic twice, but I have a tendency to choke matchups that I should win. I'm very bad about that. But I didn't choke here. And I get a crit, but obviously it didn't matter unless he was going to crit me back, so... Anyway, that's game 1, a nice win for me. Game 2, he brings Articuno, which is not a Pokemon that I've seen in Gen 3 1v1, and it's not a Pokemon that's good in Gen 3 OU either, so I was very surprised to see it. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, you know, is he gonna pick this? Is this gonna come out? Like, because it beats Mens, and it could maybe beat Machamp. Definitely doesn't beat Blissey, though. Anyway, I saw this and I was like, he's probably going to be scared of Blissey, right? Like, these two just get fucked up by Blissey. Most of the time, anyway. I guess the Entei could maybe beat Blissey if it's some kind of crazy set. But I figured he was going to be forced into Swampert here because of the threat of Blissey. So this is a... And also because, like, Swampert just looks good in general here. But this is a special attacking Salamence with Hidden Power Grass. So my hope was that he would go Swampert, and I'd pick Mence. But instead he goes Entei, and I thought I had a winning matchup here, because I have Hydro Pump on this thing, so that does a lot of damage. But he had Hidden Power Ice. And I'll be honest, I don't know why you would run Hidden Power Ice on Entei. Because versus Mence, if they're like Choice Band, they just kill you with Earthquake if they're attack invested, and they survive this. Like, you see that only did 65%. So, I don't know what this set was, and I don't know why you would be running HP Ice on your Entei when you have an Articuno. Well, Rock Slide, right? Rock Slide Salamence. So I guess he was trying to lure Banded Salamence with, like, Rock Slide, but again, like, this doesn't make that much sense to me because you're just getting fucked up by Banded Earthquake. But yeah, he's faster than me because I'm not max speed, I'm max HP. So I lose. Okay, that was a weird one. That's all I can say. That was a weird one. So, game 3, he brings Sceptile, Raikou, and Salamence, 3 very strong mons. And I bring Milotic, Armaldo, and Alakazam, 2 kind of weird mons, and then a very strong mon of my own. And this team basically gets 3-0'd by Armaldo. It's weird because the Armaldo versus Raikou matchup is not fun. but it's like, it's winnable. If it's Pressure Stall Raikou, I have to Rock Blast and get 4 hits, but like, it can happen at least. It's conceivably winnable. And since, we were 1-1 at this point, it wasn't super high risk. I didn't have to like hard call anything, so I just went Armaldo because it has a way to beat every Mon. And for some reason he went Sceptile. I don't know why. This is a very weird pick to me, because you beat Milotic with it, but you also beat Milotic with Raikou. And Raikou could potentially beat Alakazam, depending on if he's Crunch Raikou. I would think he was, but even if not, like, you can kind of beat Zam. And you can also beat Armaldo. I'm going to assume he was like sub-Bataya Raikou, and that's why he didn't pick it, because he didn't want to lose to Armaldo, but Sceptile also loses to Armaldo, so I don't understand that one. I think Mence was his best pick, easily. Unless... I mean, even if he was expecting Milotic, I feel like Raikou was the better play. But, anyway. He went Sceptile, he clicked sub turn 1. That's very much a losing play, but there's no winning play, because you can't survive this no matter what. So I don't know why I'd say that's a losing play. Any play is a losing play. Clicking Sceptile was a losing play. But it wouldn't have been a losing play if I clicked Milotic. Maybe he expected Sceptile to beat Zam, and I guess if it was Seismic Toss, it sort of wins. And there's a game later where I'll show how that can kind of work. But anyway, that worked out nicely for me. He picked the worst thing into Armaldo. And then this game, this is another one where I don't actually remember what I picked, honestly. I think I looked at this. So Sceptile sucks here, right? Like, it only beats Regirock. Raikou beats Houndoom and might beat Venusaur. And then Mence just destroys these two and can maybe beat this guy with like a crit or something. So I figured he'd probably go Mence. Or at least I figure now he'll probably go Mence. Again, I don't actually remember how this game went, but I assume I go Regirock into Mence, because that makes sense. So yeah, I do go Regirock into Mence. And I'm banded Regirock on this team. He's not banded Mence. That doesn't kill. Now, Rock Slide would have killed. The reason I'm Hidden Power Rock is because it has higher... The main reason is because it has higher PP than Rock Slide, so it gives you a better matchup against Zapdos and Pressure Stall Raikou, although I think Pressure Stall Raikou is still kind of an iffy matchup. But whatever. Anyway, yeah, I should have countered here, honestly. Well, if he were banded, I should have countered, but he wasn't banded, so it just worked out. But, like, that was a roll anyway. I don't know what the odds were, because I don't know how much bulk he had, but, yeah, that can kill. So, but yeah, like, I survived this easily. I don't think he was max attack, because that was pretty weak, right? 50% at +1. Anyway, that's that series. I also want to show, I think, 2 games that Omni played against Callus. Yeah, they're both games that frankly weren't the best showing for Omni. This is Omni, by the way. That's his showdown name. I think he learned something from both of these games. I kind of did too, actually. So I just want to show them because they're interesting matchups. So in this one, he goes Sceptile into Whack because it's his best play into Whack with this team. Actually, Mence could have worked too. I think Mence was probably the play, but there's no reliable Whack answer on this team, unfortunately, because Marowak runs Aerial Ace. And watch what happens here. Swords Dance. And, now what happens? Yeah, you don't Oko with Leaf Blade, because that's the strongest grass move this thing has. It's not strong enough to just kill Marowak in one hit, even at +1 with Overgrow. And so Whack wins. I don't know why he's at GG's here. This was not the final game of the series. Omni actually does win the series, and I won my series. So we both won week 1. So we got full points. Anyway, this game was another interesting one. Oh wait, oh no, it was okay. The other game that I wanted to show is from a different series, I think. Either that or I didn't bring it up. Whatever. No, it was definitely this series. Whatever. There was one game where Omni brought Regirock into into Dusclops, and that's a crazy matchup that I'd have to like break down and explain how it's supposed to work. But Omni misplayed, but then won with a crit, so it worked. Anyway, this game we have the Kecleon. This one's funny because Kecleon being here kind of plays off Callus not being a 1v1 main and not knowing what this thing's going to do, and just seeing Raikou has an amazing matchup against the other two. So he just clicks Raikou into Kecleon, right? Because it's like, what's a Kecleon going to do? It's a shitmon. Nobody would bring that. But look at that. Return is just strong enough, even without stab. And so that's pretty hilarious. This mon is so funny. Alright, anyway. Round 2, we were up against the 918th and Roy Dadu. I don't really know either of these people. I think the 918th plays Gen 3 OU a bit. And, I don't know, maybe he just got into he wanted to play this tournament because he likes Gen 3. I don't know. Didn't really know what to expect from him, but I'll be honest, like, I didn't expect anything too impressive. Because, like, he hasn't played 1v1, like, at all. And, I want to be clear, like, I'm never trash-talking anyone, okay? Some people are less experienced than others, and that's okay. I'm not the most experienced player myself. But yeah, I just kind of figured, like, his teams wouldn't be built that well because he's new to the game. So, anyway, I had a real hankering to bring more Armaldo this round for some reason. I just really like this mon. This team is actually very weak to Raikou, though, because Armaldo is not reliable versus it, and Heracross is also not reliable versus it, but I guess, like, in my head, 2 unreliable answers equals 1 reliable answer, so that's just what I went with. Fortunately, he didn't bring Raikou. He did, however, bring Starmie, and if this Starmie has Psychic, I just lose to it, right? Like, Psychic is gonna kill Heracross, Hydro Pump's gonna kill Armaldo, and Thunderbolt's gonna be beating Vaporeon. But I looked at this and I knew he was clicking Starmie. It was just so obvious, right? Like, what else do you even click here? So I went Heracross, which will beat any Starmie except for Psychic. So Mega Horn, okay, and then I HP Ghost because I don't want to miss. He keeps subbing up. He's trying to get his Bataya boost so that he can hit me hard. And he uses Hydro Pump, so no Psychic. And I live because I'm EV'd to live that. So there you go. I actually have Spidef on this thing specifically for Hydro Pump Starmie. Because otherwise this team just gets completely owned by Starmie. So yeah. And then game 2, he brought a triple Reggie team. Which, if I had him a champ, if I brought him a champ, he's just 3-0'd. Or like any fighting type, he's just 3-0'd. So I don't know why you would do this. But okay, he brought triple Reggie. Another thing that beats all 3 of these, hilariously enough, is Sceptile. So check this out. He goes Regice, perhaps predicting the Sceptile. Because I don't know why you would expect Ments. And I live Ice Beam, easily, because I'm max HP Sceptile. I'm actually EV'd to fucking live that. And now I win. Sceptile beats Regice. Isn't that crazy? Now, if he were like modest 252 Never Melt Ice, I could have lost. But that's such a non-set. So yeah. He can't do anything. I just stole him out. So Leech Seed Sceptile is a real monster. And it can run Leaf Blade to beat Swampert and Vaporeon, or it can run Seismic Toss, which allows it to beat Registeel, Regice, and a few other things that they don't have enough HP to live 3 Seismic Tosses plus Leech Seed when they rest. Which is a really cool tech that I think LRXC figured out a while back. Although, maybe he didn't. Maybe that's an older... I'm giving him too much credit. I feel like that's a thing that's been known for a while. But anyway. This game, he brings a really crazy team with a Crobat. I mean, Gengar and Sceptile aren't crazy, but, like, Crobat plus Gengar is pretty interesting. Anyway, Armoldo 3-0's this team. Not much to say. Oh, sorry about that noise. I just bumped my desk with my elbow. It did not hurt, though. I am okay. Anyway, Rock Blast kills this bat. It had no hope. I don't know why it was toxic. That's very interesting. So, yeah. Go on to the next week. Okay, when I clicked over here, I realized that I hadn't unbolded the names on this one, so I fixed that. There are no spoilers here. But I also accidentally stopped the recording. And not just stopped the recording, but like ended it, so now I'm recording a second video here, and I'll just have to edit them together. So that's kind of annoying, but whatever. Anyway, Omni and I were up against D2 the W, or Death to the West, and Crocrums, or Bird. They were probably the first really serious 1v1 players we got matched up against. They're both quite good players and builders. Bird, I would say, is better at building than clicking. D2 is good at both, but I've beaten him in the past, and I don't know, like, the way that my approach to picking is kind of, I guess, almost antithetical to his. It's hard to explain, but like I feel like I'm just really good versus him for some reason. So anyway, I'll show the games. And of course, like, I have more experience with Gen 3 than he does, but Bird knows Gen 3 pretty well. So and he was building for both of them, I think. So anyway, Game 1 versus D2, I bring this crazy Miltank team, and he brings Charizard, Jirachi, Marowak. Interesting preview. This team, I don't know what this team does versus, like, opposing Charizard. Like, you just have to go for the speed tie, I guess. It's kind of weird, but anyway. Miltank is, like, never coming out here. It only beats Zard, so there's no reason to pick it, sadly. I really wanted to pick it, because these guys spammed Tauros the previous week, and did very well with Tauros, so I thought it would be funny to bring Miltank and hopefully win a game with it, but sadly, Miltank just does not have a winning matchup here. So, Zam kind of makes sense, because it beats Zard and probably Rachi, and I'm sure D2 saw that and was like, I should go Marowak, especially because Marowak can even beat Zapdos, because I'm Rock Slide. And I don't know how to explain it. I kind of just intuitively figured he'd be Rock Slide on this thing. So I went Zapdos, and I'm Hidden Power Grass on the Zapdos, and what's funny here is that Hidden Power Grass Zapdos does not, like, 100% beat Marowak, because they can click counter on Hidden Power, and if you're doing enough damage, then the counter's going to kill you. Because in Gen 3, Hidden Power always counted, well, it could be physical or special depending on the typing, but it always counted as a physical move for the sake of counter. It's really weird like that. But anyway, I click Hidden Power Grass, and it only does 40%, which means that he's like max Spadef Marowak. So even if he did click counter, I was fine, because it didn't do enough. He clicks Hidden Power Rock, and then I sub, and I get my Pataya boost, because sub Pataya Zapdos is stupidly good, and Marowak is gone. Sub Pataya is just, like, Zapdos was already really threatening when people pretty much only ran Pressure Stall, but it was, like, very manageable. But sub Pataya Zapdos plus Banded Zapdos, like, have made this mon has so much variety, and can be teched for so many things, it's crazy. But yeah, it was my Marowak answer on this team, and I correctly picked it into whack, so pretty cool. Game 2, I bring... this is my favorite team I've ever built. Sadly, it's not viable right now for reasons that I'll get to later, but it will be viable again soon. Anyway, this is my favorite team I've ever built. Nice, nice like double water, like water grass rock thing going on. These three mons can handle, like, almost the entire meta. It's very cool how they complement each other. But I'm not gonna get into it right now. I'm just gonna talk about this game. So this game was weird. I made a weird pick here, but I made it for what I think is a good reason. So Regirock is a 2-1 versus him, and I guess D2 often picks into the 2-1. He shouldn't, but he does. So I figured he'd pick into my 2-1, which means he would have to go Machamp. Now I have two things that beat Machamp, and that's probably why he picked it, actually, because he saw, like, I have two things that beat it, so it's like, the psychology here is like, okay, Machamp loses to 2 out of 3, and the thing that it beats 2 out of 3 of my guys, right? So it'll probably come out. That would be his thought process, I think. But, yeah, I didn't go for that. You would think I'd go Gyarados, right? Because it beats Machamp. But the issue is, it just loses straight up to Zapdos, and it's iffy versus Ments. Ludicolo is also iffy versus Ments. If it's banned at HP Flying, I just die. And it's iffy versus Zapdos. It can beat some sets. But it does beat Machamp. So I clicked it. Just because why not? And I'm Ice Beam, so like, if this isn't... If this Ments isn't banded, I do win. And, with Zapdos it totally depends, because that thing has so many sets. But I knew I'd beat Machamp by just clicking Hydro Pump twice. I'm surprised he went for Encore. He should have just tried to Cross Chop twice and hope for a miss. I'm guessing he expected counter, maybe. Like, he thought I'd be the defensive Ludicolo. So, yeah. And then game... What is this, game 3? This game was bad from me. So... Metagross beats Armaldo, and most likely loses to the other two, unless it's Sludge Bomb. And even if it is Sludge Bomb, Sceptile can live that with enough bulk. Dusclops beats these two quite well, and can even beat Armaldo, depending on how lucky you get. So, I was kind of worried about Clops. And I didn't really think Machamp would come out, even though it's also decent here. I really thought Clops would come out, because it's so good versus these guys, and can kind of beat this guy. But he hard-called the Armaldo, and he went with Metagross. So that was a very good pick from D2, and a very bad pick from me, honestly. But, like, the reason I won it was because it has a winnable matchup versus Clops. Like, I just have to hit enough Rock Blasts. So, anyway, game 4, I bring this team again, because the team he had just brought is 3-0'd by Gyarados. And he brought it again. So, what's gonna happen? He goes Clops. Voice crack. He goes Clops, I go Gyarados, I taunt him in case he has Wisp. Then I just start Dragon Dancing up after he reveals counter, because I know he doesn't have Wisp. There's no way you slot both on one set. And now he just prays to freeze me. And there's not much else he can do. Tactical freeze here. And then he realizes I'm just 3-0'd by Gyara. The funny thing is, I guess he didn't actually mean to bring this team. I didn't mean to load it this time, but I'll just freeze. It's a very sad thing when you load the wrong team by accident, realize that you get 3-0'd by something, and then just have to hope for a freeze to win. But he went for it. He tried to freeze me. Tried to counter there, hoping that I'd choke and just randomly, HP flying. But I ain't falling for that. And I get to +6, and it's time for Clops to die. And I actually had to get to +6, because at +5 it can live and counter me. So yeah, that's that series. It was a pretty fun series. It was probably my favorite series I played in the tour, just because I love this team so much and I loved using it. Anyway, I want to show one game that Omni played in this round. So, like I said, these guys spammed Tauros the week before, and we figured they'd bring it again. So when Omni and I built this team, well, actually after we built the team, literally like less than a day before he played, like the night before, he played in the morning. I was looking over the teams that he was going to bring, and I said, wait, change this Starmie from modest to timid, because standard is modest, but it's slower than Tauros, whereas timid, of course, outspeeds Tauros. And it's really fucking funny that I saw that, because this was game 5 of a best of 5, of course. And Omni would have lost if he would have been 3-0'd by Tauros pretty much. Like, well, you can beat it with Metagross, but it's unreliable. So I'm really glad that we changed it to Timid. And I just thought this game was quite funny because of that. And I honestly, I think, ever since Tauros became a thing that people run, I think Timid Starmie has been better than Modest. Because there really aren't that many KOs that Modest gets that matter that much. There are some. Like, definitely if your team handles Tauros well, you can run Modest. But Timid is really nice. Anyway, week 4, we were up against Gorex and Desem. Both of whom are moderators on Smogon. And both of whom play a lot of 6v6. Let's see. Yeah, neither of them have trophies, but they're definitely both accomplished 6v6 players. Well, I mean, yeah, they are. Anyway, they had done quite well in the tournament up till that point, so obviously they had some grasp of how 1v1 works, right? And this was another case where I wasn't totally sure what to expect, but I did have a pretty good idea of how my opponent would pick. Again, because it's just pretty consistently true that people who don't play 1v1 a lot but do play 6v6 tend to be kind of predictable. It's one thing you have to learn when you play 1v1 is to resist the urge to just click the strongest mon, right? To just click the guy that has a 2-1 or a soft 3-0. You have to, like, be careful about that. And you don't develop that instinct that quickly. And so, anyway, when I played Gorex, I brought this team again. And so he brings a pretty nice team. Zapdos, Regirock, Machamp. It's cool. And I don't remember what I picked here. I straight up don't remember what I picked. Okay, so I'm going to get this wrong. I'm going to try and predict what happens, and I'm going to get it wrong. But I think he goes Zapdos, right? Because it beats Gyarados. And it usually beats Ludicolo. I think he goes Zapdos, and I pick Ludicolo because I expected the Regirock or the Machamp. But I really should have expected Zapdos. I think that's what happens. I think Ludicolo into Zapdos. Yeah. And I think this was a winnable matchup for me, but I fucked it up. I'm not exactly sure what series of plays I needed to make. Maybe if I Ice Beamed turn 1. But, like, I fucked up by setting up Rain. That actually didn't help me. Because now he's slower this turn. And I don't know why I Giga Drained there. That was just such, like, it didn't matter. I realized at that moment that I'd lost no matter what because of Rain. What I should have done was I should have Giga Drained on one of these subs and then started Ice Beaming. But yeah, you live and you learn, right? What I really should have done is just clicked Ice Beam turn 1, but I didn't know what Zapdos he was, and I guess I was kind of expecting Pressure Stall just because that's what, like, I underestimated him, basically. So I expected Pressure Stall. But it was Sub-Pataya, so I just got destroyed. But, like, at least after that, I knew what was happening, right? Like, I knew that Gorex knows what they're doing. Game 2, I bring this funny team again. And, hilariously enough, he also brings a Miltank. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, Zapdos 3-0's that team, so I click it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not... This is Sub-Pataya Zapdos. I don't know what he was supposed to do versus Zap. I'm pretty confused, but I guess he picked Gyarados into the other two. Yeah. I'm not really sure. So, game 3... Let's see, what happens in this one? So, Heracross is beating Regirock. I don't know why Flygon would ever come out. Okay, I actually choked this game too. And I'll explain why. So I guess I was thinking that his Heracross answer was like HP Flying Flygon, because I don't know. Like, this Starmie can easily be Psychic. There's no reason for it not to be. But I just didn't know what Flygon was doing. And I thought, if I go Marowak, I'm covering both Flygon and Regirock. And also, Regice is really obvious. Okay, yeah, I remember my thought process now. Okay, so Regice beats Flygon, obviously. It also beats Starmie, so I thought he'd be scared of Regice and go Regirock. My best play into Regirock, of course, is Marowak. Heracross beats Regirock and can potentially beat Starmie and maybe even Flygon, but it's not 100% reliable versus Regirock. It's a weird matchup. So I wanted to go with the more secure Regirock answer, which was Marowak. But instead, he just went Starmie, because it's the 2-1. And I should have expected that. But he chokes hard and clicks Ice Beam. Now, I crit this Bone Meringue, but that was a roll anyway. And I don't know why you'd click Ice Beam. I just, frankly, don't understand it. He didn't want to miss Hydro Pump, I guess. But that's a terrible play. Unless the Starmie had a bunch of defense EVs, so it was always going to live that. But that doesn't make any kind of sense to me. So, that, like, Hydro Pump would have killed me. I don't know why he Ice Beamed. That was a choke. And, I mean, it was a choke for me to pick Marowak. I should have gone Regice. 100%. But yeah. The crit might have mattered. Might not have mattered. Because, like I said, that's a roll. So, yeah, I get a little lucky there. What is this, game 3, game 4? Whatever, we'll say this is game 4, because I think it is. I lost count. Anyway, what happens here? Oh, yeah. Ursaring has a good matchup. It's the big, strong guy, so he's going to click it, right? He's going to click the big, strong guy. So I go the Rock. And I click counter, because I know the big, strong guy is going to be the big band guy. Now, if he'd been Swords Dance, then I just lost. I say GG's, he says cool. He's very upset about the fucking crit, I guess. I don't understand why that pissed him off so much, given that it was a roll anyway, and he fucking choked by clicking Ice Beam when he could have just gone for Hydro, but okay. He then asked me to play another game. Not to decide the series, obviously, because I'd already won the series, but he just wanted to play another game to see how it would have gone, which is fair enough. So I took him up on it. We played a 5th game. This is a cool team. I like how it looks. I repeated this team because I didn't want to reveal any more teams I'd built. Just for a fun game. So, Ludicolo is like really fucking threatening here. Gyarados is also pretty threatening. His only pick into both of them is Jirachi. So I go Regirock. Because Regirock loses to the other two, so he wouldn't expect it, right? So I go Regirock, I Earthquake, and there's no chance for him. So there, if it had gone to 5 games, I still would have won, I guess. Is what that shows, right? I don't know. Anyway. And then one game I wanted to show from Omni. The reason I want to show this game is it's the only time either of us brought Registeel. It's a mon that I hate to use because it's really good. And it's also a Stolmon. But it's also really exploitable at the same time. So it's like, every team is prepared for it. And it's boring to use. So I never use it. The reason Omni has it on this team is because we were building this together and we like came up with Machamp Armoldo, and then the only third mon I could think of that covered everything we needed to cover was Registeel, basically. Like to cover all the various special attackers and things that we can't beat. Registeel was just the guy. Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes when you're building, you just have to use a mon that you don't like because it just works out on the team. So it is what it is. But what's funny is December brought a team that just gets fucked up by Registeel. I don't understand what... Maybe the Skarmory could beat it, but they don't go Skarmory. They go Regirock. And there is no hope. There's no hope, because Registeel does the thing that it does, which is it sits there and lives every hit, and then just whittles you down with Seismic Toss, and there's no hope. Alright, so we are on quarterfinals now. Okay. In quarterfinals, we were up against PJ and Weirdmon. I don't really know much about Weirdmon. I know PJ is yet another 6v6 player, but he's recently become interested in 1v1. He's actually playing in World Cup for Team India. I'm playing in World Cup on Team Central. And the funny thing about this is that in World Cup, he got matched up against LRXC in Gen 6 1v1, and he beat LRXC. And LRXC is also Central. Did I say that? I don't remember if I said that. I think I said that. Maybe I didn't say that. Anyway, LRXC is also Central. I'm Central. LRXC is Central. We're both Central. Okay, we're both Team Central. PJ's Team India. We were up against India. LRXC lost to PJ in Gen 6. Okay, that's everything that I wanted to say. Anyway, I got matched up against PJ in this tournament, and I was like, okay, I gotta avenge LRXC. And I told LRXC, dude, I'm gonna avenge you. So I played PJ, and, you know, this was very high stakes, because I had to get that revenge, right? So, you know, I made the big boy picks. I made the picks I had to do. I wanted to 3-0 him, well, we'll see what happens. So, this matchup... What the fuck did I pick? I actually, like, don't remember what I picked in some of these. I'm pretty sure... So, Regirock is his pick into Regice, but Machamp also beats Regice, right? Machamp can also potentially beat Heracross, depending on, like, if you can finesse it. And this Machamp... So, he's using the Machamp from the Sets Compendium, which is a set that I made. And, I set it up to beat Marowak usually, but it's not 100%. It will lose to a faster Marowak, and I was running a fast Marowak here. But I figured he'd be overly confident in Machamp's ability to beat Marowak, because I've been overly confident in that in the past without thinking about the fact that Marowak can run a lot of speed, and I've been running speedy Marowak lately because it's really fucking good for shit like Machamp. So I go Marowak into Machamp. No, wait, I went Heracross. Okay. I just, like, fucking talked myself into thinking something happened that didn't happen. No, there was a different series where I did that. But, anyway, my Machamp answer was Heracross. If he'd been HP flying, I lost. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? So this is not a speedy Marowak. This is Heracross as Machamp answer. This might still be a speedy Marowak, I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the team. Wow. Whatever. You know, that was just a nice surprise twist. Isn't it crazy that Heracross beats Machamp, though? That's pretty cool, right? So he goes Encore hoping that I'm going to, like, Swords Dance or sub or something. But, you know, I ain't here to make misplays like that. I just Brick Break twice and he's dead. And this is Banded Jolly Heracross. It's HP flying to beat opposing Heracross. I think. I think. Don't trust me. My memory fucking sucks. Holy crap. Anyway. Game 2, I once again bring Miltank. I want to get a win with this goddamn thing, but unfortunately this is another matchup where it sucks. I spent a lot of time thinking here, because Miltank does beat Mence, but I didn't think Mence was coming out because, like, this could be HP Ice, and Miltank beats it. The only thing it beats is Alakazam, but I thought that Raikou was a lot more likely because Raikou beats Miltank most of the time. It beats Zapdos, and it can sort of beat Alakazam. I didn't know what set he was. He probably wasn't Crunch, though. Crunch is pretty rare. But I guess I overthought this and kind of thought he was Crunch. So I went Zam, and unfortunately he went Mence. So I should have gone Miltank. I would have won if I'd picked the cow, and I regret not picking the cow. But whatever, I set up a Calm Mind in case he's special Mence, but he's not. I die. No hope. Alright, so no 3-0 sadly. Next I bring a team that gets 3-0'd by Gengar, but that's okay because Gengar sucks and nobody should ever bring it, so it's fine. Now, we have to talk about Clefable. Another voice crack, god damn. I'm an adult. I'm not 14, guys, I swear. Anyway, Clefable is a crazy mon. And, wait a second, I'm actually gonna open Omni series versus Weird Mon now that I think about it. Hold on. Okay, I don't know why I said hold on, since I'm presumably just gonna cut the video after, you know, in post when I edit it, but whatever. Anyway, Omni brought this team as well. We built it together. Or actually, no, I think I built this one on my own and just gave it to him because I wanted to build a Clefable team. Because I figured these guys would just get fucked up by Clefable. And let's see, what does Clefable do? Now, this is a set that I made. It's slightly different from the standard. Instead of, normally it runs Thunderwave. Thunderwave plus Encore, what that does is you paralyze the opposing mon, and then you're faster, you know, and then you just, if they attack, you can heal and fish for paralysis, and if they went for a status move, you just Encore them after. But I thought Cosmic Power might make more sense because it gives you a more reliable matchup against a lot of special attackers and some physical attackers like Marowak. So I just like the move. I like Cosmic Power on Clef. So that's something we brought. And as you can see, it fucks up this Blastoise pretty good. And then he picks it again. And it fucks up Blastoise again. And then he picks it a third time. And it fucks up Tauros. So this shit's just hilarious. Also, this makes me realize that because Tauros is always male, you should always run female Clefable in Gen 3. Because cute charm. Because it actually makes sense for Tauros. But yeah, whatever. This mon's getting banned. We're banning it as soon as we can. As soon as we can get LRXC to make the fucking post. So, whatever. Anyway, by we I mean the council, not me and Omniweeb. Omniweeb and I do not have the power to ban mons, but the council and I do, and we're gonna ban it very soon, I promise. Anyway, me versus PJ. So the Omni versus Weirdmon series happened first, so PJ was now aware of what Clef did, and I figured he'd be scared of it. So he'd go Regirock, which is his only hope against it. Now, Regirock actually can lose quite easily, especially to Cosmic Power Clef. Blissey also loses, but can get an Ice Beam freeze, and it takes like 1 million Seismic Tosses to kill Blissey, so it has a lot of chances. So I went Marowak, which beats both of them, because I knew Mence was never coming out into Clef. And yeah, he goes Regirock. I Swords Dance as he tries to counter, which that's a losing play. You really should just attack and hope you get a crit, but yeah, whatever. Goodbye. Alright, and now Game 4. I bring this team again. And again, I expect him to pick the thing that beats Clef, which is Machamp. Also, nothing on this team looks like it's amazing versus Machamp. Obviously, Dragonite can beat it. But you'd think he'd expect either Clef or maybe Whack, right? So, like Whack into Regirock. So, Machamp seems like a good pick from him. This is the series where I'm fast... This is the game where I'm fast Marowak. It's the same series, different game. Anyway, I'm fast Marowak. I pick it into Machamp. He tries to bulk up, but it's too little too late. You're dead. Goodbye. GG's. So that's that series. Alright. Sorry about my chair squeaking. Is there a way to fix that? Like, can you oil a chair and make it stop squeaking that way? I have no idea. Somebody let me know in the comments, please. Okay, so, now, semifinals. We're getting high stakes, right? High, big games. Important stuff. Big stuff. Almost to that $100 monies. So, I'm against SoulWind. Motherfucking SoulWind. And Omniweave's up against TDK. These motherfuckers are scary, okay? Okay, so SoulWind is a name that I've known for almost as long as I've played competitive Pokemon. This dude is no joke. He's Mr. Big OU Destroyer of Worlds. And he also plays 1v1. He's actually been playing 1v1 for quite some time. I think he was on the winning team in World Cup 2. 1v1 World Cup 2. So, this guy knows 1v1, and he's one of the best, like, competitive Pokemon players, period. So I was terrified going up against him, honestly. I was scared. And yet, at the same time, I kind of underestimated him. It's hard to explain. I have a tendency to do that. Like, if I don't see someone as a 1v1 player, I think that they're gonna make bad picks. But you can't do that, especially when it's SoulWind. So anyway, this is not me. This is oh yeah, I wanted to show both series. That's right. Okay, so let's show Omni versus TDK first, because the series happened back to back. Omni played, then I played. So we bring another Clef team. This team, I think it's more solid than the other one. I honestly don't remember, but Clef beats these two, but it loses to this guy, which I hoped that Omni would see. That, you know, Gengar is going to come out because Clefable is so scary, so he should have played off of that and gone Starmie or maybe Zapdos. But he went Clef, and it's a 2-1, so I mean, fair enough, I guess, but yeah, there's no way for it to win versus Gengar, because you can't hit it with any move. So, yeah. I don't know why this was Focus Punch Gengar, that's like complete nonsense, but it worked, I guess. But yeah, you don't need Focus Punch, because like Clef can never win because it has to Seismic Toss. That's the only attack it has. It can't beat you. Anyway, game 2 here. I don't remember what happened in this one, but Dusclops has a really good matchup. Yeah, Dusclops has an amazing matchup. I actually don't see how it loses. So what happened? Zapdos into Whack. I don't know why he went Whack. This was counter Clops, so it clicks counter versus Aerodactyl. It beats Zapdos pretty well. And it beats, well, it's not 100% versus Regice, but if you expected Regice, you should go Machamp. So I'm honestly not sure about this pick. But maybe he hard called out the Zapdos. If he did, fair enough. But the issue is Zapdos can beat Marowak, as we've seen before. So that was Metal Sound Zapdos, which is a set that I fucking hate. It also beat Dusclops, I guess. Kind of. It's weird versus Clops. So yeah, that might have been a 3-0, now that I think about it. Maybe Machamp could have finessed it, but I don't think so. So that's unfortunate. Game 3, he brought this epic team that has a terrible Clefable matchup, but fortunately TDK was, like, apprehensive about clicking Clef, I think. And the other thing is, like, Gyarados 3-0's this team, so I think TDK figured Venusaur was his best out versus Gyarados. So he goes it, and HT Omniweeb clicks Taunt turn 1. So that's a misplay, that's a choke. Because this Gyarados is not super speedy, and Venusaur is always going to be pretty speedy, so we're slower. So Taunt is never the play, you have to Dragon Dance turn 1 versus Venusaur. With this set. This set, by the way, is a set I made a while back. It's not in the compendium, but it's Taunt, HP Flying, Earthquake, and Dragon Dance, and it's like super bulky, super attack invested. It's a really good set in my opinion. It beats a lot of things, including Venusaur if you Dragon Dance turn 1, but unfortunately he didn't. So Sludge Bomb. Now DD, which is fine. That is the play you should make. This is still winnable at this point. But you can't be taunting. You need to just attack. So Hidden Power and Frenzy Plant crit. That was a roll, I think. And if it wasn't a roll, the poison made it a roll. If it wasn't a roll, the poison is the reason that it killed. Without the poison, I think Omni still won there. So that was really fucking unfortunate that he got the poison and then got a crit, so it's like double bullshit. But again, Omni should have DD'd turn 1, so that was a choke. And he got 3-0'd. And I was super disheartened at that point. I also should note it was pretty early in the morning for me. I had just woken up. And SoulWind messaged me asking if I wanted to play after this series. And I didn't know how to say no, because I did want to wait until the next day, because I was like not prepared for it. But I don't know how to say no to SoulWind, you know? So I was like, yeah, we can play. And that was, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? So, Regice 3-0s this team unless my Lodic is able to beat it somehow. I don't know. So I go Regice, whatever. He goes Zard, which is his best out against this thing. Flamethrower does 41. I Amnesia. Flamethrower. I Amnesia again. Now I have to rest in case of stuff. Okay, now I Amnesia again. That might have been a misplay. I don't know. I was not at the top of my game. He subs to get his Pataya plus his Blaze. He doesn't Blast Burn. I don't know where the fuck Blast Burn is, but considering Flamethrower did 22, I don't think Blast Burn was killing either, so whatever, I win. Cool. Great game 1. Game 2, he brings the same team again, so I really wish that I brought the same team again, but whatever, I didn't. I brought this team. And I was like, okay, Starmie's pretty good here, right? It beats these two and can maybe beat this one. Now, I knew in the back of my head that my Lodic can pretty easily beat Starmie. And I should have gone Zapdos here into a probable Milotic, but the issue is I was slow Zapdos, and I was kind of scared of Charizard. I don't know why I was scared of Charizard. Like, what human being picks Charizard in this matchup, right? But it kind of was his best play versus Zapdos, is the thing. But yeah, because I was slow, I was scared of Zard beating Zapdos, which was just stupid on my part. I should have gone Zap. But I went this thing, and I'm not even Thunderbolt, I'm Psychic. I get the drop, luckily, but he's HP Grass. And now there's not really much I can do. I try to, like, outplay him here. Like, if he'd attacked as I subbed, I might have won with the boost, but no. So yeah, that's over. And now the game that I'm really fucking embarrassed about. I choked this so hard I can't even, like, excuse it. So I do end up picking correctly. I see Aerodactyl, which loses to this guy and likely to this guy, but beats this guy. So it's like, you know, would you pick it into just this guy? I don't know, maybe. But the thing is, like, Sceptile's a cool guy, right? Sceptile's just that cool guy. Plus, like, Marowak is so threatening, you have to pick Sceptile into it. And even though, as I showed earlier, Whack can beat Sceptile, it's not 100%, and I didn't want to risk it. So I went Zam, which is my dedicated Sceptile answer. And I just completely choked this matchup somehow. I clicked Psychic turn 1, which is fine. But now, because he Leech Seeded, and he's faster than me, or it's a speed tie, which is crazy. Normally, Leech Seed Sceptile is slower because it needs bulk, but yeah, he's max speed, so that's a speed tie. And the speed tie made me lose my fucking mind. I did not know what to do. If I were slower, I could have just encored. And I should have encored right here. Wouldn't have mattered that turn, but next turn, I really should have done it. Him clicking sub was actually a massive choke, and I should have capitalized on that. But I didn't. I clicked recover like a fucking moron. And the reason I clicked recover is because in my head it was like, if he clicks Seismic Toss, I need to heal or else I lose. But, the problem is if he clicked Seismic Toss, I lost no matter what, because and this is what's really embarrassing. I thought that I was max HP Alakazam, because I like to run that. But this one was not max HP. It was max special attack. So Seismic Toss is going to do a lot to me. It does 40%. So that plus Seeds will be killing me no matter what I do. I had to encore him before Seismic Toss could come out. Recover was such a huge choke. And again, like, him clicking sub was a big choke too, and I wish I capitalized on it. But I didn't. I fucked up. We both choked, but I choked harder. And I encore the wrong goddamn move and I lose. So yeah, that was really sad. So okay, game 4, what happens? I see 2 mons that lose to Tyranitar and 1 that can kinda lose to Tyranitar. And then I also see Starmie beating this, Zapdos beating this, and thinking he's probably not clicking this, right? Except he has to, because it's his only out versus T-Tar. But whatever, T-Tar just looks so good, I click it. And he goes Arrow. Now this T-Tar is pretty bulky. If he's Jolly Aerodactyl, I live Hidden Power fighting like 30% of the time. But I think he was Adamant. So I'm just dead. And that's it. It's over. We got fucking destroyed by SoulWind and TDK. I don't know if I learned anything from this. I learned, well, no, I did. I learned a couple things. I learned don't play right after waking up. Don't play before you want to, right? If someone asks, "Hey, do you want to just play now?" after you've already scheduled a time, say no. All right, just say no unless you really are ready. Because I was not ready. I don't know why I said yes. It was fucking dumb of me. And, like, I played so badly. Because I knew Arrow was coming out. And I knew, like, Starmie should have just been my pick. Because, like, sure, Zapdos could have happened, but, like, it doesn't make that much sense. Because T-Tar is, like, so likely for me. Yeah, anyway. Don't play right after waking up. Don't say yes to do you want to play early if you're not really ready. Also, don't underestimate people. Be careful about that. I feel like I usually don't, but sometimes I do. But also don't overestimate people. It's tough. You really have to look at how your opponents played in the past and just try and understand them a bit. Especially because, like, I don't want to say anyone's a bad player. Some people are less experienced, and then there's also the fact that everyone plays a little differently and approaches the game a little differently, and you have to just understand. You have to do your best to understand your opponent's approach. You have to understand what level of knowledge they have about the format that you're playing, and you also just have to understand how experienced they are, right? And I just completely under-prepped for SoulWind, and I fucked up. That's all I can say is I fucked up. So, anyway, the finals were SoulWind and TDK versus PQS and Crucify, and the finals were very interesting. They were very fun to watch live. I suggest you go either to the thread and watch them, or you go check out LRXC's video where he covered them live. I'm not going to spoil what happens, because it's really fucking crazy. But I'm also not going to cover them, because LRXC already covered them, so there's not really a point. But yeah, that's all of my games. I hope that I can use what I've learned here to do better in future series that I play, and future tournaments I play. And I hope anyone who watched this maybe learned a thing or two about Gen 3 1v1, or about how to approach playing 1v1 or something. I don't know. When I do videos like this, my goal is to try and learn things myself and try to help other people learn things, I guess. So, yeah. If you learned anything, that's good. If you were entertained, that's also good. And I guess that's about all I have to say. Peace.